Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So, Venerable Sangha, Sialis, and dear Dhamma friends. So, this evening we'll have our class, but as I mentioned you all a few weeks earlier, uh, I invited Dr. Pyi Phyo Kyaw to deliver a presentation regarding the history of the Kusalatika Paṭṭhāna that we are learning presently in present day. So in the first session we'll be doing that, and after that, following that, we'll be having our usual class.
Thank you, Pandey, for inviting me to share my knowledge about this topic.
So for our Dhamma friends in our Paṭṭhāna class, I will introduce Dr. Pyi. So Dr. Pyi Phyo Kyaw, she's a respected scholar in Buddhist studies, and presently she's serving as a departmental lecturer in Buddhist studies at the University of Oxford, and also at the same time she's holding a position as a senior lecturer in Theravada studies in the Shan State Buddhist University in Taunggyi, Myanmar. So regarding her academic career, she initially started with learning with had a BA in economics and management at the Oxford University, and later with the passion on the Buddhist studies, she completed the MA, the Masters at hsoyò in the University of London in 2010, and in 2014 she earned her PhD in Buddhist philosophy at King's College London. And the reason why we are inviting her is about specialization, which she did her PhD, her doctoral thesis. It was titled as Paṭṭhāna, Conditional Relations in Burmese Buddhism, and which was a meticulous examination on the Theravada scriptures in the textual tradition in Myanmar. And also she, in addition to these academic accomplishments, she has been practicing meditation since 2005, and also as a teacher she has trained various meditation. He has trained in various meditation traditions in Myanmar, and also teaches the Vipassana meditation in Budapest in Hungary, and she's involving in both the study of Dhamma and also in the meditation as well. So and also I would like to recommend everybody, the Paṭṭhāna enthusiasts, to read her thesis on the Paṭṭhāna, conditional relations in Burmese Buddhism, who are interested in that area. With our kind invitation, she accepted our invitation to teach about this history, and we kindly invite her to present this evening. Yes, also.
Yes. So if I go, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So I Venerable Atula asked me to, or invited me to explain the development of the Paṭṭhāna study in Myanmar. And when we look at the development, as it were, it's mainly about the methods and different ways of studying the Paṭṭhāna. And we have evidence from, at least from 18th century. That's what this lecture or this talk will be focusing on. Thank you. So what I want to kind of start with is the basic key features that a student of Paṭṭhāna would start to learn when they start their journey in learning the Paṭṭhāna in contemporary Burma or contemporary Myanmar. And that's where we have to look at Mūla-paṭṭhāna Sayadaw. His monastic name, as you may know, was Nārada. So I will be talking mainly about how his methods of study of Paṭṭhāna and the key features from it, and then trace it back to the kind of where all these different features come from. Thank you. So when I mention, the Paṭṭhāna study in Myanmar, Venerable Mūla-paṭṭhāna Sayadaw was only one of them. So throughout the talk, I will also cover other Sayadaw and other teachers, how they started kind of delving into studying the Paṭṭhāna. And so we will see that the Burmese Sayadaws or Burmese teachers, they really developed a new way of studying the Paṭṭhāna. But their new ways of studying the Paṭṭhāna can also be related back to canonical Pali literature. So that I will be also sharing that. So now we will see 4 key features that are part and parcel of Mūla-paṭṭhāna Sayadaw's innovation. The first one is the studying the Paṭṭhāna in terms of what we call 9 main groups of the paccaya and the subsidiary paccaya embraced within the main 9 groups. So that one is quite a new way of studying the Paṭṭhāna, because when we look at the Paṭṭhāna, as you know, there are so many different sessions. But so this way of studying the Paṭṭhāna doesn't really follow what we might find in Pali canonical Paṭṭhāna texts. So why do we study the Paṭṭhāna in terms of 9 groups? I'm sure Venerable Adula will explain to you a little bit about, as you go through the course. And one of the main key things is because so that we can actually start studying a more complex session of the Paṭṭhāna, particularly Sañcāvara or numeration chapter, where you just see the numbers, but behind the numbers that you see, there are kind of almost, if you like, the philosophical underlying or an explanation behind those numbers. And to study that, by studying the 9 groups or the paccaya in terms of 9 groups, it makes it a little bit more easier and a bit more kind of understanding. So that's one of the key contribution that Mūla-paṭṭhāna Sayadaw made in his pedagogical contributions. And I will come back to explaining what the 9 groups are a little bit later. Yes. And the second feature is about recitation of formulae or specifically these recitation formulas, they are a summary of the kind of key components within the Paṭṭhāna. So for example, in when we read through the Pali text, we will see that it's talking about conditioned dharmas or conditioning dharmas, and then conditioned dharmas, and then the conditions through which these conditional relations happened. And the recitation formulas are specifically kind of summarizing the whole thing in Burmese. So we have a text from the 18th century summarizing these relationships in terms of Burmese explanation, and kind of these becomes a recitation of formulas for the students of the Paṭṭhāna. And specifically in Mūla-paṭṭhāna Sayadaw's work, the recitational formulas of the simple enumeration, so suddhasaṅkhyā, becomes the key part. So the next key feature of Mūla-paṭṭhāna Sayadaw's method is studying the different chapters. Different chapters or different sessions in kind of different groups. So what do I mean by that? So in Mūla-paṭṭhāna Sayadaw's work, we can see that the first 6 chapters of the answer session, they are studied together, and then Paññāvada study on its own, as it were. So it's kind of like dividing different parts of the Kusala-tika and then focusing on studying them in groups, which to some extent actually simplify and kind of make it quicker in order to get through the text. So I will come back to that. Although that way of studying the studying the Paṭṭhāna was kind of mainly used, or nowadays we use it, but we can also trace it back to earlier Burmese teachers of the Paṭṭhāna. And I will come back to that point and show you where the sources are, so that you have a clear understanding of how these different methods developed. Thank you. The final key features of Mūla-paṭṭhāna Sayadaw's method is, as we all know, is using the tables as a visual representations of the text. So what do I mean by that? I mean that he's kind of summarized the canonical Paṭṭhāna text in terms of tables, so kind of visually presenting them, but also the way, if we think about the 9 groups of paccaya, how he kind of grouped them together and then put it into a table, which again, kind of a way of summarizing these really complex ideas, complex teachings in a more kind of visual, simplified way, in order to help with memorization, as well as kind of trying to recall different information quickly. Thank you. So now I want to really kind of go into these different features, particularly focusing on the first one, which is studying the 24 paccaya or the Paṭṭhāna in terms of groups, and then the second one, which is recitation formulae. And I want to show you how or how do we get there? How did we get these kind of pedagogical tools to study the Paṭṭhāna? So the first one is studying the paccaya in terms of group, and I'm sure Venerable Tula have also showed you where these come from. So if we look at the slide, we can see that it's from the Paccaya session. So it's in Burmese edition. It's the paragraph 527 to 531. That session is rather short, but as far as I can see, it has three main functions. So the first function is of this session is it's kind of like telling us codes for detailed analysis of the conditional relations in the three subsessions of the Kusala Tika, or skillful triplets. So what do I mean by kind of detailed analysis here? Detailed analysis is about Vibhanga session. So we know that the Paccaya Nuloma session, we find detailed analysis of Vibhanga explained, but how can we actually kind of get to Paccaya, the other three sessions? So Paccaya Paccaniya, Paccaya Nuloma, Paccaniya, and then Paccaya Paccaniya Nuloma of the three Kusala session, Kusala Tika. So the Paccaniya is they are the codes to spell out these Vibhanga session. So the second function of Paccaniya is like a summary of all possible combination of dharmas related by the 24 paccaya. Just for the Kusala Tika, so skillful triplet, what does that mean? It means that the Paccaniya that we see in the paragraph 527 to 531, it's just for the Kusala Tika, not for other Tikas and Dukkals in the Paṭṭhāna. Yeah, thank you. And that function of this session is 24 paccaya divided in or kind of highlighted in terms of groups, main groups. And so it's at the beginning, it's, in the canonical text, we have 8 leading or 8 main groups. And that 8 main groups actually come from Paccaniya. Thank you. So I want to now share with you the kind of sources that come. Where does it come from? The paccaya in terms of groups. So we can see from the table here that in the canonical Paṭṭhāna, there are 8 leading groups of paccaya, and then the paragraph 530 to 531, that shows kind of combined groups of paccaya, and which is called Mesaka. And so you can see here the 8 leading groups and combined groups, they actually come from the canonical source. And if when we combine the 8 leading groups with the Mesaka groups, what we find is, or rather, yes, when we combine these two things and write it out clearly, we can see that there are 47 paccaya, and that work, that number of paccayas actually features in 18th century, oh no, the 19th century work by Theravada Sayadaw's work. So this is the first, if you like, evidence where the 47 paccayas kind of can be found in Burmese Sayadaw's work as a way to study the Paṭṭhāna. And so in the commentary, Pali commentary on these paragraph, what we find is we also find a more detailed explanation of the 8 leading groups as well as the combined groups. But in the commentary, what we also find is another kind of explaining the 8 leading groups in terms of rather it was divided, or it was kind of expanding out to include 2 more paccayas, 2 more kind of variants of paccaya. And that's why we find 49 paccayas based on the Pali commentary, Athakatha. And that, where do we find that in Burmese work? We find it in Unyan Soe work on the Paṭṭhāna. There, he explains the paccayas in terms of 49. He explained the Paṭṭhāna in terms of the 49 paccayas. Unyan Soe is not a monastic member. He was I think he still is he's still alive. I think he's a lay person, lay Abhidhamma teacher. So I want to show you here. If we look at in terms of the this table, we have based on the canonical text, we have 8 leading one. This 9 categories, this is based on the Athakatha, and they are mainly the same, but the difference here is when we get to Upanishaya, according to the canonical version, you have these groups here. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 9 are under Upanishaya. But if we follow Athakatha commentaries, we have the Upanishaya split or divided in terms of Anandrupa Nisaya and Bhagatupa Nisaya. So Anandrupa is kind of proximity, decisive support. So there's no gap between, say, mental process. And here, Bhagatupa is more like very natural, very strong, decisive support. So that's where the 2 extra paccaya comes from. So if we include, or if we kind of divide it, that's where we get the 49 things. That's why here I use 9 categories of conditions. 9 categories, it becomes more kind of what we might call leading conditions. So, and now it's 9 rather than 8. Yes. I think that's answer the question where Astra 2 comes from. And then if we if I go to here, and I know that you the class been following 56 paccayas. This is a classification, the total number 56. Actually, it comes from the Paṭṭhāna Mūla-paṭṭhāna sub-commentary. And here, that's where Mūla-paṭṭhāna Sayadaw actually bring up this categorization of the paccaya. So if we then go back to this document where we can see the additional paccayas, where do they come from? They come from, like I said, Mūla-paṭṭhāna, but they are mainly about the Mesaka, so combined paccayas that we saw earlier. So we have Sahajata, Purijata, Mesaka, and then Pajajata, Pajajata, Ahara, Mesaka, and then Pajajatendriya, Mesaka. So here, this is where we find a more detailed classification where two paccayas are combined. It's yes, I will explain the nature of it later. So the Mesaka groups that we see here, 3 of them, they are quite a complex. They are trying to explain very complex relationship between mind and matter. So rupa and chitta, and specifically, if we think about the mental process or viti process in Abhidhamma, it's about how at the moment of conception, how does the mind arises, and then the other kind of rupas also arises. And this is actually trying to explain all those kind of mind-matter relationship at a given moment. And so it's quite a complex relationship that they are trying to explain. As far as I know, Mūla-paṭṭhāna Sayadaw was the first person to kind of give emphasis on the Mesaka groups, and in his work, he explains that they are very important to understand these relationship. So far I have not found any other sources where Mesaka becomes quite a broad, dominant or predominant or quite an important part in the study of the Paṭṭhāna. If you have any question, we can come back to that point about the 56 paccaya. But now I want to move on to the recitational formulae. The point here is that I just want to highlight how that feature becomes quite important in the study of the Paṭṭhāna for people in Myanmar. Thank you. So this table actually summarizes other Burmese Sayadaw's work along with Mūla-paṭṭhāna Sayadaw. But I want to start with the 18th century work by Nanda Meda Patan Ayagaut. So Nanda Meda, or his popular name is Tandabin Sayadaw. And in his work, this one is a similar kind of it's not a Nisaya type text. It's more of exegetical text where he really kind of trying to explain the Paṭṭhāna in Burmese language, and also trying to go through the Paṭṭhāna as we have it in the canonical text, so session by session, and trying to explain in very detail in terms of recitation formulae. So it's summarizing the nature of the Paṭṭhāna text in Burmese, and then explaining where different things come from, and so it's more like a exegetical or interpretational text. Thank you. Bhutan Ayagao here is he's trying. Nanda Meda is trying to explain the Paṭṭhāna in terms of the 4 categories that we find in Abhidhamma Saṅkhyā or Tenjo texts. So Chitta, Chittasika, Rupa, and Nibbana. So here Nanda Meda is a kind of what we call highlighting the essence of the Paṭṭhāna in terms of 4 ultimate realities or Paramattha Dharma. Thank you. In the 19th and 20th century, we have the Te Thadana by Sayadaw's work here, and then Masoyan Sayadaw's work, where they are again following or using a recitation of formulae, but actually highlighting 3 main things. The 3 main things are conditioned dharmas, conditioning dharmas, conditioned dharmas, and the non-conditioned dharmas. So it's studying the Paṭṭhāna in terms of 3 aspects. In Masoyan Sayadaw's work, he's focusing only on 2 aspects. So what does it mean? It means that the Burmese Sayadaws, they are also trying to develop their own way to understand and study the Paṭṭhāna. Thank you. And then in Mūla-paṭṭhāna Sayadaw's methods, now we find recitation formula became quite predominant, but he's actually focusing on single enumeration recitation of formula or formulaes. And he's actually using Bhutan Ayagao's work, the recitation of formulae in Nanda Meda's Ayagao to really study the Paṭṭhāna. Yes, thank you. So this is an example of the recitation formulae from Nanda Meda's Ayagao. And I just want to show you an example of what what these recitation of formulae looks like. So it's for the hetupaccaya, so recitation of formula of the single enumeration, suddhasaṅkhyā, hsoyò in Burmese, we call it hsoyò, of the root condition. And you can see here the associated mental aggregates, rooted mind produce matter and rooted rebirth karma produce matter are conditioned by the 6 roots. So here it's explaining kind of a summary, giving you a summary of it. So these dharmas are the root conditions, conditioning states are the root condition. And then it kind of goes on and the conditional relations are enumerated by way of root. There are 7 types of conditional relationships. So here, this is the number that I mentioned at the beginning. And then in relation to the root condition, 7 answers are arrived at. So you can see here, the within this formulae, you have the root condition, what the condition dharmas are, and then I kind of abbreviated the condition state, but it's again highlighted or summarized in there. And then we find 7 types of conditions. So the number, the answer 7. Thank you. Yeah. So the recitation formulae, the main purpose is to summarize the conditioning dharma, conditioned dharmas, the conditions, and the number of answers. And for those who are familiar and expert in the Abhidhamma analysis and know the different chitta and chittasika and so forth, they are able to expand the recitation of formulae and then kind of extract different details from it, or they are able to condense down. So this expansion and then condensation of ideas, they are very important for people who study Abhidhamma in Myanmar. Now I want to show you the Nanda Mira's Paṭṭhāna Ayagaunt, and so it's just different editions of that the text that we have. So here, so in the early 1900s, there were 4 it was printed in 4 volumes. So far, we have a copy of the 3rd volume and the 4th volume, but I cannot find the 1st and the 2nd of this edition. But in the 1958, it was printed again at the 6th after the 6th council in Yangon, and we have the copies of it. But here you can see how the Paṭṭhāna, kind of the whole, at least the Kusalatika, the course, the part that you are studying, all the materials, most of it comes from Nanda Mira's work. I want to also draw your attention to this word nesaya, and in the earlier version, we find nesaya there, but we must not get confused with word translation of the word by word translation of this kind of usage. Is mainly explaining in detail using the 4 ultimate realities, so Paramattha Dhammas. It's not just simple translation. That's what I want to say. So we have seen that in terms of the some features of the Burmese way of studying the Paṭṭhāna, and I've shown you kind of where different, only using 2 examples, but we can see that it actually comes from the canonical kind of layers of Paṭṭhāna, but also the Buddhaghosa commentary on the Paṭṭhāna, as well as Ananda's Mūla-paṭṭhāna as well. So far, I have kind of used Tathagata and Mūla-paṭṭhāna so far. My research, current research, is focusing on the three kind of canonical, Tathagata and Mūla-paṭṭhāna. I have not looked at Anuttaka at the moment, but I as we saw, this is the Abhidhamma Piṭaka that I mentioned, which is very important in the study of the Paṭṭhāna in Myanmar. So here, what I'm showing you is how different layers of text and knowledge, they are developed on each other, and then a kind of continuation through different layers of text. Different layers of text in terms of the of how to study the Paṭṭhāna. So it's not just the point here is that Mūla-paṭṭhāna Sayadaw's work can be traced back to different layers in commentaries as well as the canonical texts. Yes. If you keep this in mind, starting from the canonical Paṭṭhāna, we can now see how it's kind of also draws on and develop different kind of pedagogical tools and methods by, say, the Nanda Meda's work. So this is the Patan Ayagat one, and here we can see that it's explicating ways to give Vipanga session, so detailed analysis session, and then, like I said, it's explaining the conditional relations in terms of for Paramattha Dharma. There's no kind of semantic meaning kind of explaining that, but it's kind of follows the content structure. So what I'm showing you here is based on different Sayadaw's work, the main kind of different features, and we can see that throughout the ages, from the, say, 18th century to the 1999, it's kind of building on previous work and incorporating different previous features into studying the Paṭṭhāna. So that's why it's as a student of Paṭṭhāna in the 21st century, we can see how the way in which we study the Paṭṭhāna becomes quite a complex and quite a challenging task, because we have to go through and process every different layers of interpretation and then pedagogical features. And this table actually summarizes all the kind of different developments went on, as far as 18th century, even to the canonical period. Thank you. So just a quick kind of visual representation of how kind of the development of the Pali and Burmese texts on the Paṭṭhāna. So if we follow scholars' kind of dating of the Paṭṭhāna, canonical Paṭṭhāna, we can see here from the bottom of the graph, where starting from, say, around 200 BCE until about 200 CE, that's where normally people kind of attribute Paṭṭhāna, the canonical Paṭṭhāna, to be formulated and developed. And from there, we can see the Tathagata So another layer, and then Mūla-tika on the Paṭṭhāna, Anutika on the Paṭṭhāna, and then Abhidhamma Piṭaka, and then all the way up to kind of modern literature on the Paṭṭhāna in Myanmar. So this graph is where I want to show you the kind of approach that for my research, I've been kind of following from the this end, and so around modern period until kind of tracing, and then kind of tracing back, but also kind of working all the way up as well. So for us as as students of Paṭṭhāna, we should be keeping in mind when we look at the or the really complex table that we have a very rich tradition and different layers of text that we go through. Thank you. Thank you. I think this is just one final point, which is that the methods that I've shown you is what we in Myanmar we call it Bakoku method. So this is where the students, they go through different layers of text to what we call to dig through the text. Commentaries and sub-commentaries. So it's a very kind of traditional method of studying Abhidhamma text or Vinaya or any other scriptures that where we have. And yes, that's one final point. I will stop here if you have any other questions.
No problem, you can continue.
No, I think I've said I think it right. One final thing perhaps is Bakoku. So Bakoku is in Upper Burma here. That's where the various founders of monastic founders of this method kind of established really very famous teaching monasteries there, and it was in the from the late 19th century Myanmar, and they as far as I know, this Bakoku method is still surviving in different forms until now. So monks in Myanmar, monks and nuns and CLAs in Myanmar also they use this method. Yeah.
Sadhu for the lecture. So so our Dhamma friends, if they have any questions regarding this, so they can ask from Dr. B.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is amazing. So I'd like to hear more detail, a little bit more detail about, you mentioned single, two conditions, and how the Paṭṭhāna was described by different Sayadaws, using 1 and 2 and 3 stuff. So can you explain a little bit deeper into it? Just summary. Thank you.
Yes. The various Burmese Sayadaws, they kind of, as we know, they develop different ways to study the Paṭṭhāna. When we talk about studying the Paṭṭhāna in terms of three components, I would like to say components here. I will share the slides again. So if we look at this one. So here, so I said a systematic way of studying the Paṭṭhāna focus on 3 elements. So here we have paccaya dhamma. So in terms of the conditioned dhamma, paccayopana dhamma, so conditioned dhamma, and then paccaniya, meaning that it's the non-conditioned dhamma. So what they are doing there is they are kind of summarizing 3 components, meaning that what can be related, so cause and effect. I will use the term cause and effect here. So paccaya dhamma, paccayopana dhamma. Not only that, what cannot be caused by, what cannot be paccaniya, so non-conditioned dhamma, what cannot be conditioned by a particular dhamma. So a way to understand that is here, there in Sayadaw, there in Tathanawa in Sayadaw, he's actually highlighting and summarizing the 3 components, because 3 components of the conditional relation, what can be related, and then what cannot be related. And why does he do that? He does it in the sense that in the later kind of more complex enumeration session of the Paṭṭhāna, we find that there are conditions that cannot be related. So to me, he's actually summarizing quite a complex understanding in terms of 3 elements or 3 components, and then other kind of here we have 2 components or 2 elements again, but 2 elements is more like focusing on paccaya dhamma and paccayopana dhamma. So it's very simple kind of summary. When I mention then Nārada, Mūla-paṭṭhāna Sayadaw, he's actually kind of focusing or picking out one very important element, which is, like I said, this single enumeration session. So for him, this formulae is do you want to translate, or sorry, I forgot about the translation. So for the Mūla-paṭṭhāna Sayadaw, the suddhasaṅkhyā, so single enumeration session, and the recitation of formulae becomes very important. Here, like I said, it's actually summarizing the conditioning dhamma, so conditioning state, and then conditioned states, and then the conditions, and the answer, the number of answer, and why single enumeration? So why do we focus on that? From there, what we can do is when we start comparing when we start bringing 2 paccayas and comparing sabhaga sessions.
Combining them, right?
Pardon?
Combining them, right?
Combine, yes, combine paccayas, and how, say, for example, 2 paccaya can influence or work on one conditional relation. We can get it from here, from single enumeration session formulae. So the information in the single enumeration session, they are used in more kind of combine. So whether we combine 2 or more, so a more complex gadana sancha and so forth, other session. So that's why for Mūla-paṭṭhāna Sayadaw, he just went for this one, a more kind of comprehensive summary. And then from there, you can start what I call kind of playing around. And so you can start playing around with these formulae and then start combining different paccayas. Yes. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, yes. Many merits to you all. Thank you.
So Dr. P, can you share the table about the numbers of the paccayas to us?
Yeah. Yes, I can wait.
I mean later, after the
Oh
next.
yes, I will share that. Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's Venerable Abdullah sent
We already
the
have. Yeah.
yes, and on page 3 from 3 until 5, I think you have that. So here 9 condition groups and 56 conditions. It's the same. But what I've done in my table is highlighting the sources and kind of spelling out what they are. I will share it with you. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So do we have more questions from Chinese group or end the session, right? So, sadhu for Dr. B for accepting the invitation and presenting all her all the hard work which he done meticulously for many years. And so we wish her to be well, happy, and healthy to do all this, continue with all this good work. And we wish her success in all righteous deeds. And also may this karma of teaching the students in our Dhamma class be a supportive factor her to attain Nibbana comfortably. And also Sadhu for Bante Kassapa for translating throughout and supporting the Chinese group in learning this Dhamma. So may all his wishes come true by supporting himself and also supporting the community in the practice of Dhamma. Okay, so we'll share merits and end the session, right? Ākāsattā ca bhummattā devānāgā mahiddhikā puññantaṃ anumoditvā chiraṃ rakkhantu sāsanaṃ. Ākāsattā ca bhummattā devānāgā mahiddhikā puññantaṃ anumoditvā chiraṃ rakkhantu desanaṃ. Ākāsattā ca bhummattā devānāgā mahiddhikā puññantaṃ anumoditvā chiraṃ rakkhantu maṃ paraṃ. Idamme ñātīnaṃ hotu sukhitā huntu ñātayo. Idamme ñātīnaṃ hotu sukhitā huntu ñātayo. Idamme ñātīnaṃ hotu sukhitā huntu ñātayo. Imina punya kammena māme bāla samāgamo sataṃ samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiyā. Yang pattāṃ kusalaṃ tassa anubhavena pānino sabbe saddhamma rājassa ñattvā dhammaṃ sukhavaham pāpunantu visuddhāya sukhāya patipattiya asoka manupāyāsaṃ nibbāna sukhamuttamam Chirang tiṭṭhatu saddhammo dhamme hontu sagarava sabbepi satta kalena sammadevo pavassatu yatharakhinsu purana surajano tatevimang raja rakkatu dhammena attanova pajang pajang Imaya dhammanu dhamma patipattiya buddhang pujemi. Imaya dhammanu dhamma patipattiya dhammang pujemi. Imaya dhammanu dhamma patipattiya sanghang pujemi. Addha imaya patipattiya Jati jara vyadhi maranam ha parimuccessami idang me punyang asavakkaya vahang hotu idam me punyang nibbanassa paccayo hotu mama punya bhagang sabba sattanang bhajemi Te sabbe me samang punya bhagang labantu Buddha sasanang chirang tithatu Buddha sasanang chirang tithatu Buddha sasanang chirang tithatu Sadhu sadhu sadhu
Sadhu, sadhu. Thanks for Bande's guidance, and also thank you for